No
I
ocean.
know we've got a fallen soldier. Well, he's not really fallen. He's just trapped, isn't he?
Yeah, yeah,
No access to social media.
yeah, yeah. He's been shunned. But no, ocean's
How
out
long's
in.
he in China for?
I'm not too sure. I don't know. I'm assuming he'll be back. I think. Oh, I think he said like 10 days or something when we did the podcast last week.
Yeah,
So, but yeah, been
right.
probably
Got
around
you.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know it was like that. Like, I kind of knew, but I know people that live in Hong Kong, which is obviously different. Like, they've got different rules, but part of me was thinking, oh, yeah, he's just going to have the same rules as there. Like, of course, he can access social media and do his usual stuff, but I guess it's China, isn't it? Like, their rules are just completely different.
Yeah, literally. I think they have like the equivalent to everything over there, but just on their own network. So they have like their own version of WhatsApp and like all these different
Yeah,
platforms. But yeah, they're just completely offered on a different, on a different, I guess like I don't know, just in a different circle of social media compared to us.
yeah, yeah. I wonder what theirs is looking like. I've never looked into it to see like what their platforms look like, but I always hear people talking about TikTok in China, how the algorithm over there for people is more educational. I don't know if
Mm,
it's true. This is just what people have said on like podcasts and stuff. Like they say the algorithm on TikTok in China is like really educational and it's like trying to, I don't know, make their people like better, like smarter, stronger, like whatever it is. And over here, it's just like people falling
dopamine.
over and dancing and doing dumb shit.
Yeah, maybe it's
So
their grand plan just
yeah,
to make
maybe
us all
that's like one
stupid.
difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's working because my memory's getting terrible.
Tell me about it, man. Forgot what I did had for breakfast like 2 hours ago.
It's
Honestly.
bad, isn't it? I think
Mm.
about this a lot, man. Like, I don't know if my memory was always this bad, but there's certain times where I just like I forget a word or I don't know. I just like you'll be talking about a movie and you're like, "What's that movie called?" And then my brain can't even think of it because we're so
Yeah.
used to just pulling out our phones and just googling a movie with whoever the actor is or whatever you're trying to find, and you just find the answers instantly. It's like we're just training our brains to not even work at this point.
Yeah. To
We're
not like
just like
retain any
relying on our
information.
phones so much. Yeah. So I feel I do it when I'm reading as well. Like if I read a book, like a girl will ask me after, like, "Oh, what did you learn from it?" I'm like, don't know. Or
Don't
I'm
know
trying to
really.
like retell a story that I've read in the book, and I can't even remember what I've read.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It is, man. It's so hard nowadays. Do you feel like that affects your work as well? Like day to day, you'll make a beat or something,
Yeah.
or like someone will ask for you to send something, and then you're like, yeah, I'll do that. And then like 10 minutes later, you've just moved on to a different task, and then by the end of the day, you're like, shit, I totally
Oh,
forgot to.
100%.
Yeah,
100%. I feel like I give myself too much credit because I always think I'm going to remember when I know my memory is not great. So I'm always like, oh, yeah, yeah, I'll do it soon. And then, like you said, we just completely forget. So that's why I've got this little trusty notepad now. I actually just take some notes sometimes, be like, right, okay, I need to do that. And then I
yeah,
can just look down at that. But if I didn't have something like that, then I'd forget a lot of things.
yeah. No, hey man, we gotta play to our strengths, haven't we? Really, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Cool.
What have you been on with this week anyway?
Not just normal stuff really. Yesterday, I spent most of the day just editing a video that hopefully is gonna drop today, and then yeah, just email stuff. Um, some of the stuff in the community, just making sure I'm on top of that stuff, and then just
Yeah,
so see. I saw an old friend as well from who lives in London. He's back for a week. That's about it really.
nice.
How about you?
Sick, man. Yeah, it's pretty standard week, really. I'm just working on the new bundle, so just been working on some loops for that. Just some like soul loops and then some boom bap loops, which is weird because I haven't really made like a boom bap loop pack before. Because traditionally, like boom bap, you'd sample like chop samples. So when you actually start making a melody for boom bap, it's I don't know, it's a strange thing to make, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
It's like what is
yeah,
a boom bap melody? I was trying to make it like a bit like underground, like grungy, like pianos, textures, and things like that. So they're coming out kind of cool. I've just never
nice.
focused on making them. I've made like a couple of videos, but yeah, never really done like a full pack where I've just made loops.
Is it more
So yeah,
like
just
dark,
that, and then
loops?
yeah, well, the it's split, so like half will be soul loops, so like nice like vintage, soulful, like feel good loops, and then the other half is like grungy boom bap. So I'm trying to make it like Griselda, Mob Deep, that type of like grungy style.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Nice.
half and half really. And then all the drums will be live, so then they fit either like soul or boom bap.
Mm.
Same with drums really. I'll do half that are like just clean live sound, and then the other half will be like heavily processed, distorted, like tape machine type of boom bap sounds.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice. Yeah. Should be good. Should be good then, man. Sure, it'll turn out sick. Is it going to be a loop kit, drum kit, and then like one shots, like similar to the last one?
Yeah, there's not going to be as many kits because in the last few there's been like 10 kits, so I'm going to focus this one more on like I don't know, just like the quality of the actual sounds in each kit. Just make sure that each there'll be like 5 kits or 4 kits and one course. I think there's a drum kit, a loop kit, analog lab kit, a one shot kit, and a phrase kit actually. So there's 5 kits and then a course as well.
Nice.
So I feel like because the course is there, doesn't need like all the extra kits to like stack up that value.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. That
yeah,
makes sense.
I'm thinking it'll be like that.
Yeah. Sounds
Yeah,
good, man.
but yeah,
That
it's
sounds
coming
really
along.
good.
We're getting
Yeah.
there. And then
Nice.
apart from that, just same old stuff, man. Working on videos, gym. What yesterday? I think I spent the day trying to change a light fixture and fucked up the fuse in my house.
Oh
So
no. Oh man.
I know. Sometimes I feel like I'm still 20, and then when I spend a day putting up a light fixture, I'm like, nah. This is
Yeah.
when I know I'm old. Nothing screams leaving your 20s like changing a light fixture and putting up a curtain pole.
Curtain pole. Yeah. Honestly, man, yeah, it does like it does remind you that like you're not because when you're like 20, you always forget like you don't care about like your light
Yeah,
fixture. You don't care about that kind of stuff. You want to go out with your boys and you just need somewhere to stay basically. And you'll crash on the couch or sleep anywhere.
yeah,
But now it's like right, I need my bed. I need to make sure I'm living in a nice space. I need to make sure I've got all the my
that's it.
surroundings kind of taken care of. You know.
Yeah. And it, like we were saying before, if I didn't live with my girl, because she's the one that's like on it, like oh, I need to get this and get that, and then I'm the one putting it together. But if she wasn't here, she said it to me herself. She'd be like, if she wasn't here, I'd probably just be so minimal. I'd probably have nothing.
Yeah.
There won't be any like ornaments in the back, no pillow, no nothing. I'd just be like the chair here, my dog on the floor, and that's it.
Your bedroom will just be a mattress and then like a pile of
Yeah.
clothes, no wardrobes or anything. Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, man. Did we get some questions from IG yesterday?
Yeah, we did actually. I'll pull them up now.
Mm.
This will be quite good. Just to answer a few people. To be honest, I haven't read them yet, but there's a lot of responses, so we'll just kind of go through. We'll go through some good ones.
Mm-hmm.
So the
Collab, bro.
first one from X420, yeah, collab, bro. X420HZ said, "What's the best way to market my beats? Like I'm trying to get my beats out there, you know." What's your thoughts on that?
I'd just say, just put them in as many places as possible. Maybe do a year of just giving away like a lot of free beats to kind of build up an email list. You know, free beat stars where you can capture the emails. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know if I'd recommend sticking to one thing. Maybe for if you're doing a type beat channel, sticking to one thing will be beneficial. I've noticed that I did a little bit of research on type beats this last like month or so, just looking into it, just seeing what like the landscape was like,
Yeah.
and it just seemed that like a lot of producers, if they don't stick to one thing, it does kind of like sabotage the channel, and then they literally just have to either close the channel or just start a fresh channel and then restart just hitting
Yeah.
one single, just hitting one single keyword. There's a guy in my community called Kyle. He's got KYXXX, and he does like Afro drill type beats. And he said like every Afro drill type beat, because he was kind of one of the early birds to do it. He said every time he drops one of them, it pops for his channel and it sells well. But then every time he tries to do something a bit similar vibes like UK garage or just normal drill or melodic
Mm-hmm.
drill, no one wants to hear any of it. Like the views don't do as well on his type beats and they don't sell. So, feel free to make be creative, and I'd say do everything, anything you want, but the beats you post, try and keep them to one niche and kind of build up some authority in that particular area that you want to cook up in, and then yeah, outside of that, man, just give away a lot of free stuff in the beginning, build that email list.
Yeah, now I hear you on the Type Beat channel thing. I think we spoke about that last week as well, but I had the same thing with my Type Beat channel where I started off just sticking to one niche and it was just like dark orchestral drill, like New York drill, around about the time when like Pop Smoke was popping. Um, and then, or maybe just a little bit after that, but as soon as I changed the game a bit and just like started uploading like melodic drill and a few other things, I even like, I don't know. After a while, I kind of personally gave up on the Type Beat channel and I was just wanting to focus on the tutorial channel. So I just put my beats on the other one for people to listen to that were watching the tutorials and then wanted to hear the beats after. But I noticed when I started doing that, the growth rate really slowed down and then
Mm.
sales slowed down as well on the beat side. So yeah, definitely if you're doing a Type Beat channel, like LOB said, just stick to one type of beat. You could maybe do like two or three artists max, as long as they fall within the same category of type of beats, if that makes sense. Like, trying to think of an example. Like, say if you were doing soulful beats, there's a guy called Dilly Got It Bumping who was doing like J.
Mm.
Cole type beats, maybe like Rick Ross, maybe some Drake in there. You know, like just people that would kind of fit within the same category as long as it's all the same style. You can maybe do that, but I'd say the more you niche down, the better. So that's for type beats. And then other than that, I'd also say just document your process as well. So obviously get your beats on as many platforms as possible, and then see which one starts picking up for you. But just documenting your process by creating content on platforms which are free, like Instagram and TikTok. Think of some creative ways to actually show people how you're making those tracks, because that's how people are going to find you. It's just never a good thing to just make beats and hope for the best. It's just going to be so hard to get noticed that way. But if you're active on all social media platforms, you're pushing content out there constantly, then as long as you're consistent with it, you will see over time that your audience will start to grow. That's just natural. I can't think of any examples where people have been 100% on it and they're posting like constantly and not getting anything back from it. It
Yeah,
might take some time so people can get a bit impatient, but you got to be prepared for it, man.
yeah, literally. And I guess that the only time it wouldn't work is if the beats just aren't good yet. So yeah, just make sure your beats are up to
Yeah,
par
that's the
and
other
be
thing.
yeah, just be realistic with yourself. Listen to like other type beats or listen to other producers, compare, and then just try and be as realistic as possible. If you're not ready yet, just keep going
Yeah.
until you're pretty close. They don't have to be perfect and like the best beats in the world, because there's a lot of producers that make content and they're doing like they're doing well for themselves, and their beats aren't like amazing, but they're solid beats, mixed well enough.
Mm.
And yeah, as long as the content's good.
That was me in my early days, man.
Yeah,
If you go
same.
back to like my early videos, my beats were terrible back then,
Yeah.
but people kind of saw the growth over time. So it's always
Hmm.
strange when someone finds you from an old video now and they're like, "Oh, this beat's dead." Like, yeah, it was then, but this
Yeah,
is like 4 years ago. We've been
exactly.
working
Yeah,
every day since then, so shit changes. But don't
literally,
let it
man.
like, yeah, your beats need to be good, but you can still start putting content out because people will see the growth over time.
Yeah, exactly.
But
Yeah,
that needs
yeah,
to be that's an important thing. Like, obviously, make sure they're somewhat of a beat at first.
yeah. I guess another thing
Um,
as well I was gonna say just before we do the next one is like
yeah,
for
of course.
content, like if you're struggling for ideas, the best way to just like experiment and I guess put your own twist on things is just find you probably already following producers like us two and other Notion and other producers that make content. So you can literally take ideas that we do or other producers and just try and copy it in a way and put your own twist on it. That's the easiest way to find ideas. And then just do as, find the ones that you want to
Yeah.
do and that you can do, and then rinse and repeat it until you find something that does work for you, and then yeah, double down on that.
Did you see that in marketing? You see that with everything.
Hmm.
Hardly anyone's idea is a brand new idea. There's only so many like new ideas that people come up with, but what most people do is they'll take one thing and then make it their own. They might take influence from like three producers and merge their styles together to come up with their own, or they might take some marketing influence from like a gaming company. It's like when people started with like the whole point system, it's like you'd get points on games, and then people introduce that to business where you get points on your card to spend
Mm,
those points on other things. It's like all these ideas, they come from like different people. Like most of them have already been done. It's just about like how you can incorporate that in your own lane.
yeah, yeah, definitely.
Uh, okay, so some of them aren't actually questions. How did you guys? Oh, so this is Prod by Neats. He said, "How did you guys start networking, like DMs and emails, etc.?" Um, I'd say, I'd say like what one of my favorite ways to start networking early on, which might not be possible for everyone straight away, but man, podcasts. When I first started my podcast channel, that was like one of the best ways to network. I think it's where I met ULB. It's where I met Ocean. It's where I met like a lot of people who I have relationships with now. But it's like I had to build up to that point as well because I had the tutorial channel. So it's like it's going to be hard to get guests if you've only just started. But if you can provide some sort of value, like I had somewhat of an audience, so it wasn't like people had nothing to gain, even though people had like more followers than me and everything. It was still like giving them, I don't know, maybe a little bit of an audience. Just like think of some ways you can provide value is basically what I'm trying to say. So if you're hitting up beat makers to collab with, maybe your strength could just be that you've got incredible loops. So it goes back to just actually being good at your craft, making sure that your quality's there because there's producers that are always looking for loops, but and there's a ton of people sending them loops, but if your shit's like really high quality, you've got a better chance in them using them. You could think of ways to, I don't know, you could think outside the box a little bit. Just any ways you could provide value to an artist or to a producer. Don't just expect things like people are busy. People don't always want to work with new people, but if you can approach them with something that is of value that might help them and not even expecting anything in return, then that's like a really good way to start a relationship. I feel like anyway.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Um, I think that's it. I think you kind of nailed it. To be fair, I think there isn't really anything else to be said for that. I don't. What did he mean by emails? I don't really know. Is it like gathering emails or?
Um, how did you start networking? So I think he meant like, were you DMing? Were you sending emails?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, cold
But I
emails
mean,
probably don't
DMing
work as well.
works.
DMing works, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, voice
DMing
notes.
can work if you're providing value, or if you're if you're just being legit as well. Like if you're not
Mm,
being spammy, like if you're that guy that's DMing people saying, "Yo, bro, listen to my beat, do this for me," like asking for favors, then people are just going to ignore you and they're not going to open the next message because they're going to think you're annoying. But
yeah,
if you can provide value, if you can, I don't know, even just showing love to people, like if you're trying to work with an artist, sometimes I'll just DM artists, just say, bro, like I heard the new single, like whatever the single is that they put out. If I genuinely like it as well, I'll just drop them a message saying, I'm really messing with this. I really fuck with it. I don't know, I might say something about the song. And a lot of the times they'll reply and just be like, oh, thanks for that, bro. I really appreciate it. And then that could just start a conversation from there. So
mm,
it's like sometimes just show love, just be natural, don't be a weirdo. And relationships, they can take time to develop as well. So you've got to have patience in that sense. But
yeah,
just don't always expect things in return straight away.
yeah. That's the thing, isn't it? It's like a lot of people, like we always go into it with like this expectation out of the end of it. Like, okay, I want to sell beats, or I want to get placements, so I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna DM, and then they're always thinking
Yeah.
about the end of it. But yeah, like you said, if you literally just forget all of that and then find people that you really like actually fuck with, and don't even literally a lot, like you said, a lot of the time you don't even need to ask for anything. You can just be like, oh yeah, I heard this song, where like
Mm-hmm.
it's fucking awesome. Like, keep doing your thing. Don't tell them anything about yourself. Just give them support. That's the least. That's like the littlest thing you can do is just give them support. Be regular, be active on their
Yeah.
socials, liking, commenting, genuine stuff as well, and forget about being like, let me send you beats or all that kind of stuff, because over time they might just ask you for beats. If you're showing love, they're going to be like, oh, I like this guy, let me check him out, and then it goes from there. But yeah, like Jay said, it just takes a little bit of time. It's a bit of a longer route, but it's definitely more more worth it in the long run.
Yeah, 100%. One other thing that just came to mind is getting involved in communities as well. And this isn't even like a cheeky plug, but for example, like me and LLB, we have a private community. And just speaking for myself here, you might be the same, but I find that when people are in that exclusive community, like I'm not saying you always have to spend money, but for the people that are in that community, they're obviously spending money every month, and I want to make sure that they're getting the most out of it. So I collab with these people more than anyone else. Like if I see their emails or their DMs, because I recognize the names that are in that group all the time, then I don't know. I find myself opening those messages more than other people because I know they're like loyal supporters and they've done something for me, so I want to make an effort for them. So it just came to mind because it's like if you've got some people that you really want to work with, have a look and see if they've got communities or if there's a way that you can show support. If it's an artist, maybe even just buying a single which costs like 99p on iTunes, send them a screenshot and just like, bro, I bought your single. It's one of my favorite songs in a while. Because they might remember that. They might be like, not many people actually buy singles like that and send me
Yeah,
music. And and send me the screenshot because people just stream it on Spotify or Apple Music. But if you could think of just little subtle ways to show that extra support, then I feel like people will be way more likely to remember you.
yeah, 100%, 100%.
So we got um I wanted to send my beats to some artists, but how do I make sure they aren't just going to steal it? Well, I'll tell you, I think before I even give advice on that, I was thinking about this earlier. I feel like a lot of people worry about the wrong stuff, man. And it's mostly new producers. I
Yeah.
always find that people who are like far into it, that have been doing it for a long time, they're not worried about this shit. But the people who are just starting before the beats are even good, I haven't listened to his beats, so I don't know what they're like. But I find that a lot of new producers start by worrying about the wrong shit. They're like, "Oh, how do I copyright my beats? What if they get stolen? What
Mm.
I don't. What if I need this equipment?" Like, there's all these what ifs and just all these scenarios that haven't even happened yet before they've even worked hard on the beats. So it's like, right, if someone steals your beat, I mean, we can deal with that then, but it's nothing you can really do to avoid people stealing your beats completely. If you're putting your beats out there on YouTube, then someone might download it. Like, you have to deal with that situation then. But if you're too worried about that and you don't put your beats on YouTube, then no one's going to find them. Not just YouTube, but if you don't put your music out there, no one's going to find it. And if you do put it out there, there's a chance someone might steal it, but it's just is what it is. At least
Mm.
if someone steals it, you know that your beats are actually good enough to the point where people want to steal them. And there's always things you can do at that stage anyway, like there's content ID, you can hire a lawyer who might even work on a percentage split, so you don't even have to pay some lawyers up front. Like there's things that you can do if that situation happens, but worrying about that stuff in the beginning, I feel like you're just wasting energy, man.
Mm. And most of the time, like the people that do steal beats, they're not even the people you want to be focused on anyway. Like they're not
Mm-hmm.
9 times out of 10, they're not going to be like the artist you've been aiming to work for anyway. They might have just found your beat, ripped it off of YouTube, put it up as a song, and it's just no audience, no monthly listeners, nothing. It'd be very rare that you'll get a signed artist or an artist that's independent but has got a solid following, solid brand, and is very reputable, professional. You're very unlikely to come across those kind of artists that are going to steal the beat. If they're with a label, the label's not trying to they're not trying to compromise themselves, so they're just going to pay you like they normally do, upfront fee, back end splits. If it's an independent artist, they'll most likely reach out to you directly anyway, and you can just talk about it, talk business from there. Um, and yeah, the only thing you need to really do is just make sure you're clued up on on your expectations as well. I saw Kato post a thing the other day, and it was a rapper um, explaining why.
Was it the video
Uh,
of Nick?
it might have been, yeah, yeah, I think it
Kato
was.
talking about Nick.
Yeah, saying that like the producer
Mm,
wants 50%. It's almost like when loop makers are like, okay, I want 50%, and then they don't realize all the extra work that
yeah,
goes in on the back end. So yeah, just make sure you're clued up on
yeah.
your
And it's like
end
50% of what?
of what. Yeah, so yeah, just make sure you know what you're what you're asking for. Do your research. Just look at, there's plenty of content online as to what producers should get and what they're entitled to and what's too much, and so yeah, just make sure you're kind of clued up on your end. But yeah, don't worry about getting your beats stolen. It's not a massive concern.
It's a good position to be in. If
Yeah,
people are willing to steal your beats, it means your beats are good. And
yeah,
some people
definitely.
as well, like if it is a smaller artist that's stealing your beat, like say if you just come across a random song that's used your track, there might even be situations where they just thought they could use it because a lot of artists don't know the beat selling game. They don't know like how things work. They don't know the business side. So if you've got, for example, like on type beat channels, in most situations we put free in the title just because a lot of artists are searching like free Drake type beat or whatever it is. But free to us just means you can download it, practice with it. But then if you want to release it on all streaming platforms, you have to purchase a license. But you only know that really if you're in the producer world or if you've been an artist for a while that has experience by purchasing beats online. So some artists might just come across beats on YouTube and be like, "Oh, free, okay, I'll just download it and use it," and not even realizing. So if that does happen, you could just hit them up and be like, "Bro, I came across this single that you put out. Really like it. It's my beat though. I just wanted to check where you got it from." Then they might even hit you back and be like, "Oh, I thought it was free," and then you could
Yeah,
work something out like from there. Like it might have just been a misunderstanding. So yeah, in some situations anyway.
yeah.
Okay, so some of these are like hard to even read. How old were you when you started making music? How old were you when you started? This is from VD
um,
Rock Official.
I think I was in. I want to say year 10 in school when I first ever got FL Studio. I think it was year 10 or year 9, one of those years. It was, I got it because, um, I don't know if you remember, there's like this American dance group called the Rangers. There's a few groups and they did this jerk, like it's called jerkin. It's like an old
Mm.
dance, like viral dance style.
Joking off.
Yeah. And like me and my friend really got into it, and then we was like, let's just start making jerk videos, like dance videos. So they were fucking terrible, but we needed beats to make the jerk videos. So I just downloaded FL Studio and made like tried to make some beats through that. Um, but yeah, I wasn't
Have you
really
still
doing
got the
anything.
videos?
They're somewhere, I think. I'll have to find them, but bro, yeah,
Gotta
they're
be funny,
terrible.
man.
They're so bad. But yeah, probably about year 10. How
Gotta
about
pull
you?
them out the archives for the next video. Um, yeah, well, for music, because I started making beats. Like I started off trying to be a rapper when I was like 14, 15 maybe. Um, but then beats, I think I might have made my first beat when I was around like 17, I think. But I was still at that point I was trying to be an artist, so I was just trying to make a couple beats for myself, but I had boys that made beats. So I wasn't really taking it seriously as a producer. I was just messing around like pulling in samples, chopping them up and then just adding some drums. I didn't know what I was doing really. And then yeah, I think I made my first few beats then, but I haven't been producing from then because I made like a couple beats here and there, had like months off, and then made a couple other beats. So it wasn't like I was consistent. So I can't really say I've been producing from that age, but that's when I started making music, essentially when I was like 14, I think. So
Mm.
a long time ago.
Yep.
Okay, so um, Lineage on the Beat said, "How to sell beats, how to earn from music making." So,
I guess there's a few
man, these
ways.
questions like, yeah, they're very vague. I feel like when people just say, "How do you make money by making beats?" Because there's so many different ways to do it. And going back to what I was saying earlier, I feel like most people who are asking these questions are very early on in their career, and they aren't. I don't. They're just focusing on that before focusing on music. Again, I
Mm.
haven't listened to his music, so I don't know how long he's been producing. But most people that ask me, "Bro, how do I make money?" by selling beats, they haven't actually been making beats for that long. So they're
Mm.
worrying about making money, but they haven't even focused on their craft yet. And I can't lie, I did that as well. Like a little while back, like before my beats were good, I was worrying about how to make money through music, and it was the wrong mindset, really, because first of all, you need a good product to sell. Doesn't have to be like the best product, but you still have to be able to make a good beat. So I'd say if you are new to producing, just focus on making good music first, and then when you're at a point in your career where you think, okay, yeah, I'm ready to take it to the next level, then type beat channels. I still feel like type beat channels are a good way to do it. We mentioned it earlier, but just sticking to one niche. So the aim is to pick something that most people are searching for, but there isn't a lot of competition. So you can use tools like TubeBuddy and vidIQ to help you with that. Like, for example, if you started a channel with Drake type beats, it might be hard to rank because there's a lot of people doing Drake type beats. But if you picked like maybe an artist on the come up that everyone isn't making beats for, then maybe you'll have a better chance with that artist. So one way is type beats. The other way is like what LLB said. I mean, you could offer free beats in exchange for an email address. You could use a tool like MailChimp, which has just a free platform to start with. So essentially, you can offer free beats in exchange for an email. Then you can collect that information and retarget those people with maybe getting them to purchase a lease, a beat pack, like anything like that. But the more data you have, the better. So if you had like, I don't know, if you're putting out beats consistently and you grew an email list of like 50,000 people eventually, I feel like that's way more important than just having that amount of followers on social media almost, because I learned the hard way when I lost my social media, when I lost my Instagram page for a few days. I was like, fuck, man, imagine if I don't get this back. Am I
Yeah.
not? I can't contact these followers. I can't do anything with them. I can't swap them over to a new platform. But with an email list, if that provider goes down, you can just take those to a new provider. So yeah, there's email marketing, type beats, just growing the social media channels. So documenting your process, um, posting consistently, like every day if you can, and like because people will still hit me up on Instagram, like just from posting beats on there, posting like beat making tutorials. Artists will hear those and they'll message me and be like, "Bro, can you send me that beat that you just made?" So that's a good way as well. There's like I feel like there's an endless amount of ways to make money as a producer these days.
Yeah, it just depends on what you want to do. Like,
What
do
do
you
you
want to
feel
be
like?
sat making the same style of beat for type beats all the time? If you are, then type beats is the way. If you want to be more of
Mm-hmm.
a face of it, then you can start doing producer content and then selling drum kits, loop kits, one shot kits, MIDI kits, preset kits, courses,
Yeah,
start private communities. You can just sell anything producer related, even merch, even producer hardware. And then if you don't want to do that and you want to be more in the background, then you can maybe go the industry way, try and chase placements. And then if you don't want to do that, then you can always go like commercial and maybe look into doing some like sync stuff and make money from your music that way. You can be a session musician or like a session producer where people hire you to do certain things, like almost like a Fiverr service. So it totally just depends, man. Like you kind of just have to just listen to your gut and be like, okay, what do I actually want to make money from in my music, and then I come up with a strategy that way. It doesn't have to just be one certain thing, but yeah, just come up with the one that makes the most sense to you and that most suits your lifestyle, I guess.
yeah, definitely. So it depends what path you want to take. Like you said, there's so many different ways you could look at it.
Hmm.
Okay, so the Apex UK said, "My beats are boring with only drums and piano melody. How do I fix it?" Add some more melodies. Add more
Pretty
than a
much.
piano. I mean,
Yeah.
he's probably a new producer, but I mean, just to answer it quickly, like if you think your beats are boring with just drums and a piano, then add some more things. Like take that piano melody, take the MIDI from it, open up a different plugin, and just copy the MIDI in, and then just cycle through presets until you find something more interesting. and then layer that with something else that you might find more interesting. Um, and then think of counter melodies. Like, man, there's endless ways you can make
Endless,
beats more
yeah.
interesting. But if
It,
you're
it
just working with a piano and drums, then you just got to experiment with different sounds, I guess.
yeah, and just be creative with it, man. Like you can even just take the piano and do like a bunch of stuff with it. You know, you can bounce it out to wave, throw like some really random effects on there that really play with the sound, like
Reverse it.
reverse, yeah, trusty reverse that works pretty well.
Yeah.
And yeah, just experiment, man. I don't be constrained to just making the melody, making drums. Like, there's so many things that once you've made the melody that you can do to make it even more interesting. You know, play with the pitch, just yeah, anything.
Yeah. Endless opportunities, endless possibilities. Let me just go through some. What connections? So, Mr. Lunatic 429 said, "What connections do you need in order to enter the music world?"
Mr. Lunatic. That's a funny one. Or the beat tag B. Um, what connections do you need to be in the industry?
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, I
Depends what you
mean,
mean by industry, I guess. Like just in the music business in general, or like the industry in terms of like getting placements or the
hmm,
YouTube side of things. But to get into it, like you can enter it yourself. Like anyone can enter the music world just by creating music and putting things out there.
mm-hmm,
Um, if you want connections in terms of, I'm gonna when he says the music world, it depends what you mean by the music world. Like if you want the connections to get placements with artists, then definitely getting involved with other producers who work with those artists, maybe people that are looking for loops, maybe even people that aren't making music. Maybe it's like the photographer of the artist. I know a photographer that works with artists, and then he's hit me up sometimes saying, "Bro, I've told so and so about you. Like you could send him some beats." And that's someone who
mm,
doesn't even make music. So photographers, like engineers, even I don't know, maybe even just getting close to people that are in the same circle as the artists that you want to work with.
yeah.
Um,
There's no like tried and true way, is there? Really, it's all just it's always a different situation. And you hear it in every
yeah,
video, don't you? You know, any producer that's breaking down a song they got or a placement they got, it's always a different story. It's like, oh, I was in a Discord, and then we managed to get some loops to this guy who passed it off to this guy, and then there's some guy, I think Brixton
hmm
Main, was talking about how he got his placements with like Young Thug, and he was like, I was just an apprentice at this music studio. Just so happens that Young Thug was coming through. The engineer didn't turn up, and they were like, "Oh, who else?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, I make beats. I engineer." So he got in that way.
yeah,
Um, Sometimes, like for me, like when I got my placement, I literally just was just through sending out beats to straight to rappers' emails. I was just scheduling emails out every week with GMAS, and then just blasting out, you know, two or three beats every other day. Yeah, it could just be like Jay said, through collabing, through sending loops to each other. Um, it could just be even just finding an artist in the early stages and growing together. You know, like how we've kind of done it with Lats, where you just kind of link up and do regular sessions with that person. It's just endless. It, honestly, just
hmm
endless ways, man. There's no like professional way where you kind of like. That's the thing. That's the kind of annoying thing about the music stuff. You can't just hand a CV and then you either in or out. It's like
yeah,
you just gotta gotta just kind of finesse your way into whatever situation you can, I guess.
yeah. I mean, a lot of the connections that I've made as well have been organic to
Mm,
some extent, anyway. Like, obviously, there's times when I've like reached out to people, maybe to get on the podcast or just to show love and ask for a session just to see if we wanted to link up, but I don't know, like this a lot of connections just happen organically, just like as part of your journey. Like you never know who you're gonna meet. Like you could go to a studio session, you meet someone else there, you start chatting to him, then you meet someone else through him, and then you get connected with someone else. It's like it's so strange how you can just connect like with all these different people just from meeting one person, but
yeah,
it's just things that you couldn't even that you couldn't write it, you couldn't predict it, you couldn't be like, oh, I'm trying to get to this guy who's like 10 people down the line. So I'm going to meet him first. And then hopefully he gets me onto him. And then it's like, it doesn't
yeah,
really work like that. It's just, going back to what we said earlier about not having these crazy expectations, like just being yourself, providing value where you can. And if you do that, then people will naturally want to help you out as well. So, for example, if you knew how to engineer, you were a really good mixer, and you hit up some artists and was like, bro, I can mix some tracks for you, maybe doing a couple for free. They might really fuck with you. They might start to like set beats from you just because you've done something like that for them. Or even if you've just like helped out, let's say like if I didn't know LB and I just helped him out with something random, I was just like sharing his posts, maybe I bought his kit, maybe I introduced him to someone without even expecting something. He might just remember that and then want to help me out the next time he has an opportunity. Maybe he has a session with an artist and he was like, oh, you know what, that J guy is actually pretty cool. He makes some good beats. He's helped me out. Let me just shout him. Let me see if he's available. And
Yeah,
then all of a sudden we're in a session together with an artist opportunity. Like stuff like that happens, man.
yeah, yeah. Literally, it's like yeah, just being like genuine is the main thing. One thing, I guess maybe one thing I like practical I'd say is just the way it kind of happened, the way I kind of built relationships for me, and maybe similar for you as well, Jay. It is just like trying to just meet up with people in person. That's probably the best advice I could say. So it doesn't have to be any like
Yeah.
crazy high up producers. Just aim for people around your kind of area and just be like, oh, like you're in the UK, let me just link up for a session, or if they're in your state in America or wherever you live in, try and get in front of people as much as possible. Because like Jay say, you'll meet him, and then if you're at like a studio block where there's several different studios, you might bump into someone else that's a producer or a rapper. You just don't know what can happen in person. Whereas if you just sat in a room on your phone, the only thing you're in control of is how many people you can actually find on socials. So yeah, just try and get out there, man.
Yeah.
Get face to face with people.
Yeah, exactly. Just expanding your network as much as possible, I guess.
Yeah.
So Daniel Ruziker said, "How to learn music theory for making the best melodies."
To be honest, man, you can kind of finesse it. Like it's not you don't have to be super clued up. I mean, me and Jay are probably prime examples of that. Like you just learn two, three scales: minor, major, minor pentatonic. The two main ones, minor and major. There's a couple like deep,
Hmm.
variations of that. But yeah, just learn those two scales. You don't even have to learn them if you're in FL Studio. You just turn on the ghost notes or lock it to scale, and then there's about 7 or 8 very very like popular chord progressions that you can go to. And once you've got those down, then it's just a matter of like suiting it to your vibe that you want to go for. If you want to go for like something more up tempo, then you fuck with the BPM, fuck with the rhythm of the chords, but the actual foundations stay the same, really. Across most genres.
Yeah, one thing that definitely helped me was just like learning one scale really well, or even just learning the pattern of a scale. Because as soon as you know one scale, like the normal like minor and major scales, like the Western ones, they're the most popular. And if you learn them, then you start to realize that music is just patterns, really. Like every scale has a certain pattern. So if you know the pattern, you can apply that to any scale. And then the same with chords as well. Like all chords have a pattern, and you can translate or you can transpose those across to any scale as well. So just remembering like scales, some chord progressions, and then over time as well, you start to understand that like when you listen to music, you start to hear the patterns in the progressions. Like you could just listen to the bass notes of a song. Like I say, you just pull in like 5 songs that you really like or 5 beats that you really like. If you just listen to the bass notes and work out what those bass notes are, you can build chords on top of those bass notes and then play with inversions, play with like how the chords played. Like, is it strummed out? Is it an arpeggiator? Like whatever it might be, that can really help because again, man, like music's just patterns, isn't it? When you listen to music
Mm,
and you hear the progression, it's just a pattern in a scale, and then you can use that in any other scale. Kind of like hard to explain if you don't know like anything about theory, but yeah, just watch some tutorials on um, chord progressions and popular music scales, and I think that will take you a long way.
yeah,
It did with me anyway.
yeah.
Um, let's do this one because we haven't done any VST ones. What are your top 3 VSTs for mixing and mastering? That's from Vedant, VEDANT.
I would sort of, I don't know, what would you go for?
So for mixing, top 3, I'd say just a parametric EQ, even just parametric EQ too in
Yeah,
FL. It's like
that's
really
staple.
good. If you have money, then yeah, Fab Filter, Pro Q3. I feel like everyone needs an EQ. You can do a lot with the EQ. You can like adjust the level. You can obviously filter things. Like there's so much you can do with the EQ. So even just having a basic EQ, soft clipper, gotta have a soft clipper.
Yeah,
And well, for mastering, man, I'll be real. Like for mastering my beats, like most of the time, I do just have a soft clipper on there. If I've mastered a song for an artist, then that's when things get a little bit trickier. And I'll probably use something like Ozone on there at some point, as well as some other plugins. But I'm just thinking about the stuff I use every day, to be honest. Like I use an EQ in most beats, a nice reverb, maybe like
yeah,
Valhalla
literally.
vintage reverb that goes on everything. Um, and a soft clipper. So it could be those 3. I'm trying to think if I've missed anything.
I'd probably
They're the
say
3 that I
like,
mainly use, just EQ, soft clipper, reverb.
yeah, I'd say it's
Uh,
the most foundational ones in it. Like, yeah, EQ, because
yeah,
you need the EQ pretty much for every beat. Because there's always like, maybe melodically, there's always stuff
yeah.
you need to create pockets for. Take the low end out, take the high end out, and just like exaggerate certain frequencies. So
Mm-hmm.
that's always going to be, yeah, in there. Reverb. One thing I've started doing with reverb is in the mixes is just like using different reverb plugins. So Vintage Valhalla, like Jay said, is like the staple.
Mm,
And then there's sometimes I'll literally just use the fruity reverb as well within the same project on the different sounds. And then I use like spring reverb from there's a really good one from Arteria that I use. And then yeah, another plugin that I would say is like a saturation plugin, something like RC20 that just makes it sound more vinyl.
yeah,
RC20. There's a free one from Cymatics. I
just to
think
give it
it's
some character.
yeah. What's the free one? What's the free one from Cymatics called?
Origin?
Origin. Yeah, that makes it sound like a vintage kind of style. So yeah, just depending on the vibe you're going for, but that gives it just little touches like that give your melodies that just gives it more extra, just gives it more character, detunes it a little bit, makes it less perfect. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah, I'm with you there, 100%. Um, okay, let's see. I'm just trying to pick one that we haven't sort of done before. A lot of them are, we've kind of covered most of them.
hmm.
Um, People are just asking me to make a certain tutorial on something. RSL, that's who edits my videos. He said,
Nice.
"Who do you guys reckon is the richest music producer in the industry?"
That's a good question.
Metro Boomin, probably. Oh,
Pharrell.
yeah, maybe. Oh wait, yeah, I'm tripping actually. I'm just thinking of who's like popping right now, but Pharrell, yeah, or Kanye.
Kanye. Yeah, Kanye. Probably Kanye.
It's got to be Kanye.
What about Mike Dean?
Did he reach a billion?
But I think he did. Yeah.
I don't know if Mike.
Let's have a look. Let me Google it.
Is Mike Dean? It depends.
Richest.
Like if you're just talking like just through music or other business ventures as well. It must be
Yeah.
Kanye. For everything else he's done besides music. But I wonder
Well,
who's made the most money as a producer just through music.
it's saying Dr. Dre is in the top 10.
I
And
was
then there's
thinking
like a
that as
load of
well
random
because
ones.
obviously with beats and everything,
Yeah.
beats by Dre, everything else is done.
Yeah. It just depends on what your thing is. Oh, what? So this list isn't legit. It's saying Chameleonaire. Remember Chameleonaire?
Oh yeah,
They see me
Chameleon.
rolling.
That's
Yeah, they're
random.
saying he's number 5 on the top 10 richest music producers. Maybe he is. I don't know. Maybe I'm being
What?
naive. Um, Hans Zimmer.
Yeah, is he just Hans Zimmer? But again, I don't know if he's not doing the same business ventures that
No, 200
Dr.
mil.
Dre and Kanye are doing.
George Strait, 300
And even
mil.
when you Google someone's net worth, like it's never accurate. They can make a
Nah.
rough estimate,
Yeah,
but
exactly.
they don't just put that shit out there.
Mm.
Because this says Dr. Dre has a net worth of $500 million.
But he's a
But do we know
billionaire.
that?
I
Like,
swear he's a billionaire.
yeah, I know. So that's what I mean. And then this one says 2.5 billion. The world's richest rapper has a net worth of $2.5 billion. Or maybe he's talking about Jay-Z. Yeah, that's
Mm.
Jay-Z actually. So that's rappers. So yeah, I mean, if I had to put money on it, I'd say Kanye.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I think,
But
and then Pharrell
I
as
feel
well,
like
though.
Pharrell's got so many projects. That's the cumulative,
I
the
know,
amount of it's
yeah.
accumulated. It's like he must have made close to Kanye.
It says Kanye's net worth is 400 million.
Mm.
Mm,
Don't know about
his net
that.
worth dropped from 2 billion after Adidas and other companies cut ties with the rapper.
No, okay, fair.
So yeah, it's hard to find out,
Yeah,
but it's got to be him or Pharrell or
yeah.
Dre, one of those, I'd guess. But then what about just money like solely through music? Like no other, like no alcohol, no clothing
No
lines, no
brands or
nothing. Like
anything.
I wonder who's made the most money. Yeah, just through
Strictly
music.
music.
But it could even be the same. Like
Yeah.
Kanye, Pharrell, maybe.
I can't think of anyone else. Dr. Dre. Um, cannot think of anyone else. Because yeah, that's the only
Like
thing
Metro
is like
Boom is one of the
Metro.
most streamed people right now, but
Yeah, he's not been
he's
around
not. I
as
don't think
long.
he's been around long enough.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. But maybe in like 10 years' time, he might be
but
very close to those guys.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, potentially. Okay, let me see if there's others. Oh yeah, we did just kind of answer this one. What are the essential effects which need to be put on no matter what? I'd say there's nothing like that has to be put on no matter what, but I do find myself using EQs, reverb,
Delay.
and a clipper more than anything else. Yeah,
Yeah.
delay, but there's nothing that's like you have to put on no matter what,
Yeah. Yeah.
because
Exaggerate that
who
point
knows what type
because
of beat you're making.
yeah, because when I first started making beats, I had the same mindset. I thought you had to put an EQ on every single channel, and I thought you had to tweak every single
Yeah,
time.
same.
But yeah, you don't like. Yeah, don't assume you have to use certain effects just because someone else said so. If your gut tells you it sounds good, then yeah, don't worry about messing it up.
Exactly that. And yeah, that's all of them really. All the others we've pretty much covered. Um, everyone else is asking for collabs and asking for certain tutorials. So hopefully that helped everyone.
Yeah. Fair.
Well, yeah, appreciate everyone for tuning in. We'll see you next week, and hopefully we've got Ocean back then.
Peace.